welcome. Thank you so much for joining us tonight at our parent reception. My name is Lisa Hanselman, and I am the director of the Mountaineer Parents Club here at West Virginia University. And we love parents, so we're glad to see all of you today. So I'll just tell you a little bit. I'm going to talk a little bit about the Parents Club, and then we'll introduce you to our guests, and we'll take your questions in a little bit. So if any of you have heard of the Mountaineer Parents Club yet, we are an organization here on campus that works out of university relations, and we are all about parents and family members. So I am the director here, and I'm also the mom of 2 students, and I have actually 2 degrees from WVU. I grew up in Morgantown. So with the Parents Club, once you join, it's free. In the chat, we will go ahead and be putting some different information throughout the evening, but we'll put the link to the Mountaineer Parents Club Facebook page, or I'm sorry, to the website first. And on that, you can join the Parents Club. You just fill out that form, it's free, and you're gonna start getting emails from us twice a month. If we do newsletters, you're gonna have that. We will do events in your hometowns, hopefully, and we'll be able to invite you all to that. And we have local clubs in some areas and parent volunteers who help us out. So when they have events, you'll get to know all about those as well. There's an 800 number that is answered here through the Mountaineer Parents Club. We'll also put that in the chat, but that is 800 WVU 0096, and that's answered by our colleague, Katie. We have 3 Facebook pages that we'd like you all to know a little bit about for us. So first, for the parents of incoming freshman families, the official families of the class of the WVU class of 2024. You'll go onto that page, join that right away, answer a few questions for us, and then you'll be right in. And that is where we are taking questions and posting information. We'll be happy to answer your questions there on that page. If you don't want to ask a question, but you just want to know a little bit more, just scroll down. There are questions every day posted in there. And we'll make sure that you have all the information that you all need. The second page is the WVU Mountaineer Parents Club Facebook page. And that is just strictly Parents Club things that we would like to share. We'll be sharing WVU information, Parents Club information. We do contests on there. We have a lot of different ways that we share information, but we want to make sure that you're on that page as well. And our last page is the official families of WVU student group. And that is for parents of all age groups of our students, all years that you have student here, you can be on that page, and that's mostly other parents talking back and forth. We'll monitor it and help out, but mostly it's parents sharing information with other parents. So it's another great way to be involved and to learn things about WVU. And one other thing I want to remind everybody is if you've been into the NSO pages, the new student orientation pages, and you've kind of scrolled through and seen different things, there is a page just for parents. It will say parent information at the top. We'd really love for you to check that page out. There's a lot of good information, including these receptions and other webinars, but mostly there's something on there called, and there we go, Ricky's put it up for us. So there's something else on there called College Knowledge, right there. You all are really gonna wanna see that. So please go in and you can open up College Knowledge. There's a PDF there, you can download it and keep that, because honestly, that is great information that we want you all to have. It will have phone numbers and little information and websites on a lot of different WV units, and we've put it together especially for you, so we hope that you will download that and enjoy it. Also on that page, we have a little link there for WVU acronyms. We tend to speak in acronyms sometimes, as I just said NSO when I should have said orientation. That's gonna help you out and sort of explain some of the ways we talk. We'll try hard not to, but it'll at least give you more information about the different acronyms and titles that we use here at WVU. And the last thing on that page is a checklist. So please check out that. We've just put that together. It's a little checklist of things that we know that need to be done and that we'd like you all to go ahead and have that so you can check it off and make sure you've taken care of everything before your students move in or before we get started here. So that is the end of what I want to say about the Parents Club for now, although I will throw things out through the rest of the day. But next up, we're going to have our panelists here introduce themselves. So first up, our Dean of Students, Corey Ferris.
Hi, everyone. My name is Corey Ferris. I serve WVU as Dean of Students. I'm a WVU grad and West Virginia native, but I've also attended school, graduate school at Ohio State, and worked at the University of Iowa. I'm excited that you're with us tonight, and I look forward to answering your questions in just a little bit.
Thank you. All right, Andrea.
Hi, everybody. I'm Andrea Bebel. I'm the Director of Recruitment for the Eberly College of Arts and Sciences. I'm lucky enough to work in academic advising and recruitment for the Academic Affairs Office here in Eberly. Eberly is the largest college at WVU, so many of your students' majors may fall within my college. We have everything from the humanities, social sciences, sciences, and math. So I want to welcome you here tonight, and I hope I can answer your questions.
Thank you very much. All right, next up, Natalie.
Hi, I'm Natalie Singh Corcoran, and I direct the Eberly Writing Studio, which is a tutoring service for all WVU students. And I am here to answer all questions that you have about tutoring at WVU.
Thank you. And next up, Katie Condon.
Good evening, Mountaineer parents. My name is Katie Condon. I'm the Director of Enrollment Management at WVU, which includes overseeing our new student orientation program. I am also a graduate of WVU, as well as a current PhD candidate, and I'm also an instructor within the Communication Studies Department. So I'm here to answer all of your questions that you may have about your student onboarding this summer.
Thank you very much, Katie. Okay, so next up, we're gonna go back to our Dean of Students, and he's going to give us an update on returning to campus and all that we have in place for that.
I need to remember to turn off my mute, which I think we all say from time to time if we're on these Zoom meetings. Hi, everyone. So let me talk a little bit about our return to campus. If you're signed up for the Mountaineer Parents Club, you likely received a letter from me today, which is one of a series of letters that we've been sending out. And if you didn't get that letter, you may not be signed up for the Parents Club. And so Lisa will talk a little bit about that later on. But certainly your students received that letter. And so you know, several weeks ago, President Gee announced that we were going to reopen campus. That's our plan in August. And so our students can have on-campus instruction and on-campus experiences. And it's not virtual. That's our plan, and so we're moving down the road to do that. And part of that process is starting 2 weeks ago or 3 weeks ago, we started releasing some information about how we're going to operate campus and expectations and things to come, and you know, as we get ready to start classes and bring our students back. And so today was the letter that I released, and there will be several more letters from my colleagues across campus. Once a week, generally on Tuesday, new information will be released, followed by what's called a campus conversation on Thursdays at 10 a.m., where there will be questions and answers to those that are participating. So let me tell you what we're thinking about and what we plan on doing to keep our students safe. One is we've heard loud and clear from our students that they want to return to campus and they want to be here. And so because we want to create that experience where they're on campus, obviously, that's one of the reasons why we're a residential college where students come to campus and have experience versus a 100% online university like the University of Phoenix or some of the others. So some of those conditions for our students and quite frankly our faculty and staff who are working from home, but in order for them and all of us to get back to campus, a few weeks ago the president and there's been an announcement that everyone will be tested prior to the start of classes, prior to students going into the classroom. And so that will take place when students arrive on campus. We will do a testing of all faculty, staff, and students. We know that the COVID virus is predominantly spread through respiratory droplets, so everyone on campus, students, faculty, and staff, are going to be required to wear a mask when they're on campus and in our buildings. Now, a few exceptions to that obviously are going to be when students are in the residence hall rooms, because students in the residence hall rooms are going to be transitioning from their family to their university family and their roommate, who will become their new family unit. So obviously in the room with their new family unit, quote unquote, students won't be required to wear a mask. Obviously when they're in the dining halls and seated and eating a meal, they won't be wearing a mask. And similarly, when they're in the bathroom showering and brushing their teeth and things like that, a mask is not going to be required. But elsewhere on campus, masks will be required. We'll be helping students with that, because when they arrive on campus, we will be giving them a welcome kit that's going to include a cloth mask that's going to be branded with the WVU logo. We'll have some disposable masks, hand sanitizer, and a safe touch tool, which students will be able to use to pull open doors or to push elevator buttons when they're riding the elevator. Now, we've made some adjustments to the academic calendar from what was previously announced. So a few weeks ago, we have adjusted our academic calendar. Now, classes are going to begin on August 19th, which is the same as what we previously announced. We've made a change that fall break will be canceled. So there will only be 2 days off during the fall semester that students will have. It will be Labor Day Monday, and then the first Tuesday in November, students will have off. That's election day, and so students will not be in class those. But classes will then run all the way through Tuesday, November 24th, and that's a little bit of adjustment from the previous calendar, or those of you that have had other students. That Tuesday, November 24th is the Tuesday 2 days before Thanksgiving. Now, previously, students went home for Thanksgiving recess on the Friday before, about a week before Thanksgiving. This year, our students are going to continue their classes into Monday and Tuesday of Thanksgiving week. Then they will go home. Classes then after that will not resume in person. So the week after Thanksgiving, students will have one wrap-up week and review week of online classes. And then the week just after that, it will be final exam week. Classes then will not resume until Tuesday, January 19th. And again, if you knew our previous calendar or had students who have already attended WVU, we're starting classes a week later than we previously announced. So we're starting classes Tuesday, January 19th for the second semester. Now, part of that adjustment for second semester is we will be eliminating a full week of spring break, which we've typically had, but we will have a few days off throughout the spring semester, but they won't be in such a way it's a full block where students will be able to have a spring break trip or come home or anything like that. Then classes will run all the way through April 30th, and then with finals week being May 3rd through 7th, and that's the usual end of spring semester. And now classroom-wise, classes are going to be, the density in the classes are going to be reduced. We're shooting for around 50%. Some will be a little more, some will be a little bit less. And as I previously mentioned, students will be required to wear masks while they're in classes. Students that are living in the residence halls, we will start a residence hall sign up. We're going to stagger when students can move into the residence halls. We're likely to move our students in one residence hall at a time. We'll start I believe it's the first full week in July, I think 6th. We will start a sign up for students on the day that they are to move in for the specific time. So we will be laying out days for particular residence halls. 4 or 5 days of students will move in, but we will also assign a day for students, assign a time, or students will select a time. We'll assign the day, the residence hall day, but students will select a time to move in. And then the students will be able to have helpers, but will likely limit the number of helpers to help students move in on that move-in day. And in some years past, I know sometimes there have been several carloads of family members who are excited to celebrate with our students as they're heading off to college. This year, as we try to manage the interactions and the number of people, the students will be able to move in, plus 1 or 2 family members will help them. Part of that, the other part that I'll talk a little bit about is dining operations. So our dining halls will have a little bit different operations, but we'll be able to provide the full complement of services from hot meals to grab and go meals throughout campus. And the last thing I'll let you know about before I turn it over back over to Lisa is we know that we're going to have students who are going to test positive, and some of them are going to test positive when we test them right before classes begin, or they may test positive at some point during the fall semester. And when that testing takes place, one of the things to let you know is those of you that have students who will be living in the residence halls, we will be isolating, providing quarantine housing for those students. So they are protected, but we'll also be providing food for them in a different location. But our goal is to protect them from others and from the rest of the campus community. So we minimize the spread to other students. And with that said, let me turn that back over to Lisa, and I look forward to answering your questions here in a little bit as we progress through.
Okay, so what we're going to do now is go over to the two people that we could never, ever do this session without. So we're going to start with Ricky.
Hey everyone, my name is Ricky Huffman. I am the marketing specialist for the Mountaineer Parents Club, and I also oversee all of our Office of Admission social media accounts. I'm a 3-time WVU grad, and I'm also running all of the back-end things. If you check the chat feature, you'll see that I've been adding very important links that you can save to your browser or save for later. And if you do have any type of technical questions, you can always private message me too in the chat feature, and I will try to get to those. But have a good night.
Thank you. And next up, Joel.
Good evening, guys. My name is Joel Brown, and I work here in the Office of University Relations at West Virginia University, and I am the Director of Brand Experience. So I get to work with a lot of families and your students on their events and experiences all over campus and throughout their 4 years here at West Virginia University. And you may have seen me on the road with some of our admissions events. So this evening, I will be helping to host you all, and I will be helping with some questions on the back end. So let us know how we can help you, and welcome.
All right, well, let's go ahead and get started then. So Joel will go ahead and throw the questions out. You'll have put in the chat.
Perfect. Yeah, and I'll talk a little bit about, so we have a few rules of the road this evening. First off, get comfortable. Make sure you've got your favorite snacks and your favorite beverages. I can see some of you relaxing, so I'm glad that you all aren't too stressed here. As Lisa said, we're going to be using the chat feature this evening for our Q&A time, so please feel free to put those questions in there. As far as all things COVID related go, we will try to cover those as much as we possibly can. However, just to give you a little bit of inside information, as Corey was talking, please make sure to visit our Return to Campus website. And Ricky will put that here in the chat box. The Return to Campus website and the email returntocampus@mail.wvu.edu is going to be your #1 source for information as far as getting up-to-the-minute updates with what's happening here on campus. So as those things, as you know, with all things COVID related, they do shift and they do change depending on what is happening with spikes and the curve. So please make sure that you're checking that Return to Campus website. Without any further ado, we will answer some questions till about 7:30, and then we're going to hang on and we're going to do a little Kahoot trivia. So if you have another digital device next to you, or you're looking at us on your web browser, feel free to go to kahoot.it and have that window pulled up. And then when we go over to trivia, we'll give you a PIN code and you all can compete with us. So without further ado, Lisa, we'll start with you here. Fall Family Weekend, is that in person this year or will it be virtual? Can you talk to us a little bit about Fall Family Weekend?
I sure can. So, you know, the Mountaineer Parents Club puts on Fall Family Weekend every year, and we do love Fall Family Weekend. And we love to have our parents here on campus visiting, but this year it's just not going to be possible. It wouldn't really be responsible for us to have so many people back on campus when we're asking our students to do their best to maintain distance and to be safe. So what we'll be doing is having a virtual, similar to this, but much longer and better, Fall Family Weekend. We'll be doing that October 2nd and 3rd. So mark those dates. We'll be getting a lot more information. We'll have it up, and we even have a Fall Family Weekend website that we'll add a lot of info to. But what we'll do is probably have one thing in the evening on Friday, and then lots of different options on Saturday that we'll offer through the Parents Club and that some schools and colleges will offer. So do keep checking back, and we will continue to say this evening, make sure that you've joined the Mountaineer Parents Club, because that's the primary way that we communicate with our parents. So if you've joined, or if you'll be joining soon, you'll be getting emails via the Parents Club e-news, and we'll be telling you more about Fall Family Weekend.
Great, thanks, Lisa. Corey, we've got a question here. When will we get the move-in dates for the halls so we can take time off from work?
So we will be announcing those within the next couple of weeks on how we're staging that residence hall move-in. So make sure your students can, and we'll release it through the Mountaineer Parents Club email. So make sure you sign up for that through their electronic news, but probably we'll get it out to students first. So make sure your students, quite frankly, are regularly checking their WVU Mix email account. Because there's going to be a lot more communication that will be sent out to students about some other requirements prior to arrival on campus to make sure they're set, from residence hall move-in to some alcohol education classes to COVID education and some other online modules that they'll need to complete, as well as just things to how to get them prepared for their arrival. So we should have that within the next couple of weeks, because I think it's July 6th is when we plan on having students sign up for the specific time to move in on their move-in day.
Great, thank you very much, and thank you, Barbie, for your question. Do you know anything about WVU marching band plans or procedures? Anyone want to talk about the band a little bit and their plans?
I can tell you that the marching band sent out information to students yesterday, I believe. The newsletter, they call it the press, went out, and that should have a lot of their information and the details. We know a little bit about what the band would be doing in previous years, but this year is a little bit different. So you're going to have to reach out to the band directly, or to read those press releases or newsletters, as they call them. That's how they're going to be communicating with students.
Awesome, Lisa, thank you. Corey, will there be clubs through the different colleges at the university? Can you talk about clubs and orgs?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Yeah, we actually have 485 plus clubs or organizations, and they will absolutely continue to operate and work. And some of them are affiliated with their academic degree programs. Some of them are just fun clubs and organizations. And so we will have a combination of when students arrive on campus, in person as well as virtual club fairs where students can learn about a number of clubs and organizations. And if they do a search now, they certainly can go to our student organization website and take a look at all the different clubs and organizations that we have, so they can see what they might have to choose from when they arrive on campus in the fall. And it really is important from the very beginning that students engage in clubs and organizations, because that's part of the things that employers eventually in 4 or 5 years are going to be looking for. How are students engaged with their campus besides classes, and how long are they engaged with particular clubs and organizations and other opportunities that they have. So we'll have those clubs and organizations front and center when they arrive on campus.
Great, thank you, Corey. How soon can we get an address for their students' residence hall facility so they can have Amazon packages delivered? And what is the easiest way to get here from California? And then they asked the question, is there a shuttle to the airport?
So the best thing to do to look at how to get the address to your student's residence hall room is if you go over to the housing website. Ricky, you might be able to find the specific web page for how to address letters and packages and things like that. So I see it sort of there right already. So thank you. So that will be good information for you to send packages, because it will be brought to the campus mailroom for that particular residence hall, and they will be notified to come to pick up that package. They'll need to have their student ID with them. Coming from California, and those of you that are from nearby, I assume you're talking about the state of California versus California, Pennsylvania, which is just up the road from us. So if you're talking about the state of California, probably the route to come will be to fly in to the Pittsburgh International Airport. There are a number of different ways for that. If you're coming with your student, that initial run, you'll probably want to get a rental car and just drive down. We're probably an hour and 15 minutes to hour and a half from the Pittsburgh International Airport. We've got some other local airports, the Clarksburg Airport, and the Morgantown has a small municipal airport, but those are connecting flights. Morgantown certainly will be able to easier get to. The shuttles from the Pittsburgh Airport, there's something called the Gray Line that our local bus service provides twice a day, shuttles back and forth between Morgantown and Pittsburgh, train, bus, and airport. And so if you want to check that out, it's busride.org. For the buses, it's about $25 one way between Morgantown and Pittsburgh, Morgantown. Joel, I think hit all those points. Did I hit everything?
You did.
Can I just, one more thing, I'm sorry, let me interrupt here. If you wanted to send a package to your student, you can use that information as Corey mentioned, but we won't be accepting packages until after August 1st. So if you have something for Amazon, that's great. Just make sure it's not gonna arrive here till after August 1st when the mailroom actually opens.
That is a great tip, Lisa. Thank you. When campus is closed, i.e. for Labor Day, will dining halls, libraries, etc. still be open?
The quick answer on dining halls and residence halls, they will be open. So when we open in August, we will not close until that November date right before Thanksgiving, when dining operations will likely stop at that point. Libraries and rec center, things like that, on those on Election Day and Labor Day, they may have some restricted or lesser hours. Some may not be open. I don't know what the fall schedule is just yet, but for your student, where your student will be living and how they will be eating, that will not be affected until we get to Thanksgiving recess.
Awesome. Let's see here. Corey mentioned testing later on in the semester. Where is this held? Parent is asking. And then is there student health, or do students go to the hospital? In addition, are there psychologists on campus for mental health needs?
Yeah. So let me talk a little bit about testing as we know it right now. So first of all, the testing that we'll be providing when students arrive, it will be what's called the anterior nasal test, which is the front part of the nose. It will not be an antibody test or the test where it's a longer swab that's pushed further in the nose. And so that will be done on campus by our own healthcare folks, and it will be at no cost to students. So students will not need to be tested prior to their arrival on campus. We will take care of that when they're here at no charge to the student. We do have a student health on campus. It's located on the Evansdale campus next to our student recreation center and the recreation fields. It's an easy walk for students who are in Oakland Hall or Bennett Lyon, Braxton, or Brook Tower, or Towers, any of those 4 towers, or Lincoln Hall. They'll need to take a shuttle from downtown campus if they need to get to it. It is run by WVU Medicine, which is a partner of, obviously, of WVU. So the physicians and nurses and doctors and physician's assistants and things like that are all part of the WVU Medicine. It's an urgent care model, so they'll have extended hours. And throughout this fall semester, after we do that initial testing, if additional testing is needed, students will be able to get that testing through student health. And the last part of that question is there mental health services? Yes. The mental health services is actually in the building with our student health. So student health is on the first floor and on the health and education building, and on the third floor houses our career center for counseling. And they've got a full complement of psychologists, psychiatrists, and others, licensed professionals that work with students. Now, given the COVID environment, much of their counseling now will likely be telecounseling or telemedicine. But obviously, if there's students in immediate crisis, they will have a way to work with students face-to-face, but obviously with appropriate barriers and masks. And our counseling services are available 24 hours a day. So though they do have regular office hours, we've got a crisis text line where students can text, as well as their phone is answered 24/7, and students can be in touch with a counselor, again, if they're in crisis.
Awesome. Thank you, Corey. And then Aaron, you had a follow-up question of, just to clarify, are you testing our students, not their pediatricians? And that is correct. They will be tested when they come on campus. With COVID precautions, limiting transportation options, will COVID precautions limit transportation operations getting from campus to campus or class to class? Corey?
Yeah, so there will be some adjustments. Our transportation folks haven't announced how that specifically will work, but we know both our students rely on two different systems. One is our university transportation system, so we know that there will be some added buses and things like that, as well as our city/county bus system that students can ride just by swiping their ID card. They don't pay anything extra, so they can ride the buses in our community to get around the city, the county, to get between campuses. So there will be added buses there. So we'll have more information out on that as we get closer to the start of school.
Appreciate that. Let's see here. My son has not heard about his financial aid regarding his financial aid award. Who should he contact?
First, anybody who has questions about financial aid or anything like that, you can contact the Mountaineer Hub. And that phone number is 304-293-1988. However, your student should be able to look into his own account and see his financial aid award. It's all listed in the student's account. They can go in the STAR system and check that out. So you should be able to see not only what he's been offered, but any scholarships and anything like that. Katie, did I cover that okay?
That's perfect, Lisa. I did just want to add that the students that went through the NSO portal, they have all received a financial planner that was sent to their mixed email accounts. And so a student should also have that, which is kind of a preliminary bill based upon the information that we had from the student at that time. And so just encourage your student to check their mixed account to see that financial planner. And then there's an entire section of the new student orientation portal that's actually devoted to cost, payment, and aid that answers a lot of questions as well.
And if I can say one more thing, because I saw this pop up in the chat, and I'll just go ahead and throw this out. The bills are not out yet. The bills do not come out until July 4th. So you don't need to worry about those yet. We wait until everyone has been registered and classes are set, and then the bills will come out. So if anybody wanted to wait until then, that's fine. That's when the bills will come out. They're due August 1st. And then if you wanted to do a payment plan, you can always go on to the site and do the net tuition calculator, and that will give you an idea of what the tuition is. And then you can set up the payment plan that way. And should it change, you can always adjust the payment plan to go with what the actual bill is.
Thanks, Lisa. We have a question about with students leaving and right before the holiday break, will students return to their dorms, or will they have to be completely moved out by November 24th?
So I'll take that. So when students leave for Thanksgiving break, assuming they do, they will not have to move out. Again, if they're coming back for spring semester, they do not need to move out. So they'll have their same room when they come back for spring semester. So my only advice is when they leave for Thanksgiving recess and they're gone until January 19th, they should take whatever valuables, their laptops and things that they might need at home during that period, medications and things like that. So because obviously for many it'll be quite the trip to come back to pick up things, and depending on how students talk to us and tell us whether or not they need housing over break, though we will be closing the residence halls to general public access. We know that some students, because they're international students, because their families may be in the military and stationed overseas, may not be able to leave campus for those particular breaks and vacations. So we offer for some of those students who need housing ways for them to stay. So so the students that aren't signed up for that won't be permitted back into the buildings.
Perfect. Corey, get out your notepad here. I'm going to combine about 3 questions of dining into one. I think you'll be okay without a pad here. But can you explain to folks the difference between in dining plans, dining dollars, and Mountie Bounty, and the meal swipe program? And then can you also talk a little bit about gluten-free and special diet options?
Sure, absolutely. Okay, so let me talk about the swipes and the dollars. So students have swipes on their meal plans, and those swipes are valid in the 4 dining halls that we have on campus. So we've got 4 dining halls of Borman, Hatfields, which is in the Mountain Lair, Cafe Evansdale, which is out on the Evansdale campus, and Summit Cafe, which is in the Sunnyside area. And students can go in those dining halls, swipe their ID cards, and while they're in that dining area, it's all you can eat while they're in that area. Now we're exploring other options from grab and goes where in those areas where they can grab a sandwich or soup or salad and go back to their room or go outside, you know, when it's still nice in the fall and enjoy their meal. Now, the other things that students have besides those, the meal plan swipes on their ID card, there are 2 other types of dollars. There's dining dollars, and dining dollars come automatically with every meal plan that your students in the residence halls will have. And depending on which one of the 3 meal plans will determine what dining dollar amount they have. Now, those dining dollars can be used in other places around campus where meal plan swipes are not accepted. For example, they can use their dining dollars in Chick-fil-A or in any of our food court operations, or in Evansdale Crossing, or at Engineering Bits and Bites. They will be able to use their dining dollars in those locations, or to get coffee on campus, or if they're students in our health sciences, again, another food court there. So that's how dining dollars are used. It's a debit card kind of thing. It's money on their account. And money, those dollars that are not used fall semester automatically roll forward to spring semester, so they can use any unused dollars spring semester, but they will also have a new load or new amount of dining dollars spring semester. Now, at the end of spring semester, any unused dining dollars is forfeited. So it's important for your students to use them throughout the year in a number of places, but it's for snacks and coffees and things like that, and drinks that your students may want. Now, Mountie Bounty is a little bit different. It's a debit program too, with dollars on the student accounts, but it can be used in more locations than dining dollars. So Mountie Bounty dollars can be used in laundry machines, to pay parking tickets, to use in food court and other places I mentioned. They can use it to pay library fines. And there's some businesses off campus, grocery stores, restaurants, drugstores, where students can use Mountie Bounty dollars to buy things there. Those Mountie Bounty dollars never expire, so they can use students can put money on there, and if they've not used it at the end of their first year, it's good their second, third, or fourth year until they use it. Parents and friends and others students can put those Mountie Bounty dollars on their account, or parents and friends can put those Mountie Bounty dollars on those student account. Now, meal plans. So we've got some traditional meal plans with traditional foods that are made to order for our students. and as well as grab and go and soups and salads and sandwiches and pastas and things like that. Now, students that have special food allergies, whether they're gluten-free or they're allergic to shellfish or they're allergic to peanuts or other things like that, or they're kosher or they're eating kosher meals or halal meats and things like that, our chefs and our dining operations will make those accommodations and take care of those students. Generally, what we ask is students touch base with our campus dietitian when they arrive on campus or prior to arriving on campus, so we can understand clearly what the students' needs are prior to arrival, so we can have meals ready and be ready for them and their special needs, if there are any, when they arrive on campus.
Corey, thank you. Glad that there are lots of options, and we have Barbie telling us how much she loves Chick-fil-A. So Barbie, we're glad you like CFA. Let's see here. Kevin would like to know, if a student tests positive and is quarantined, what is the process of getting them home? Corey, you are muted, sir.
I saw that. Sorry about that. Yes, I saw it. Yeah. So the process of getting them home, if you want to bring them home, would be for you to have obviously appropriate protection, because you're going to be in that enclosed car to take them home, and then they will be in your house. So that would just be a matter of arranging for you to come and pick them up and take them home. Now, one of the things that we'll ask is that be coordinated with our student health and with our Mon County Health Department, because our Mon County Health Department, as is the case with all of these positive cases that are monitored at a national level or tracked at a national level, so to speak. So when the student leaves the Montague County Health Department jurisdiction and moves, say you're from Charleston and West Virginia, it would transfer to Kanawha County if you're in Virginia. So, wherever you may be, it's going to be the monitoring and the follow-up and the tracking and the support of that student. If they get better or worse, or if they're asymptomatic, will go to that local health department. So the actual picking up is the easy part, but there'll be a little bit of logistics. So the local health department has the proper jurisdiction. And then the other thing is, your students will want to work with their faculty member, depending on how they are. Some are asymptomatic, and they will go ahead and continue their classes without any issues. Others may develop mild or strong symptoms, in which case then we'll work with them to figure out how to make up their class work and things like that.
Great, Corey, thank you. We have a question here from a family whose son was admitted into the honors college, but the son is not going to be able to live in the honors dorm because there wasn't spaces available. How important is this, they're asking, and would their son be able to change to go back to the honors hall if something would open up?
Yeah, thank you for that question. Yeah, so first of all, though your student did not get that initial assignment in Honors Hall, one of the things that I'd recommend that your son do is reach out to the housing office and make that request, so he can be on the wait list should there be an opening in Honors Hall between now and the start of school. And the other piece is, we have a lot of students who do not live in Honors Hall. As a matter of fact, I'd probably say most students do not live in Honors Hall, because Honors Hall hosts about 350 or so students in that building, and we have well over 1,000 students in the first year class that do not live, that are in the honors program, honors college to start with, plus all the other honors college students throughout the year. So they will get a great experience no matter where they live. It's important that they stay connected with the honors college, so they get those announcements, because they will be invited to programs that involve honors college students throughout the year. And again, some of them will be in person in small groups, and other of them will be virtual, but again, we'll be practicing safe distancing and things like that for all of our programs, whether they're honors college or not.
Perfect, Corey, I appreciate it. We've got some sports related questions. I know everyone is surprised. So we've got a couple of questions from parents wanting to know, is football happening, number one, and can the students attend the game? And then we have another question here. Sorry, I just lost it, from Mary, asking, let's talk about sports other than football. Any idea when we should hear about fall sports?
Well, so let's talk the football piece. So our football players are back on campus and they are going to start training, I think, coming up. So our hope is that football will be played, but again, there's still so much that's involved from NCAA to Power 5 to Big 12 to, quite frankly, what the local health departments and local states decisions are as it relates to team sports. So there's a lot that's in the making there, and that also, I'll say, will track right along with the question of will students be able to attend athletic events and football games. And again, we don't have any information on that yet, and I think those locally and nationally are still in conversation on how that might play out. So students should just pay attention to that, and those of you that might have season tickets or want to come up for a game, again, pay attention to information that's forthcoming. Similarly, for non-sports, non-football sports, again, those teams at this point are not back on campus. My understanding is at the beginning of July, I understand, is when the Big 12 or NCAA has given permission for some other sports to start returning to campus. And so as that takes place, look for more information about additional sports, basketball, volleyball, crew, gymnastics, and things like that, soccer. But keep an eye out for more information on how those sports will resume, and again, whether or not there will be fans in the stadiums to watch those games. We just don't have the answer to those questions yet.
Appreciate it. Lisa, this question I think might come to you. Will parents have the opportunity to meet the teachers before campus orientation? You're on mute, Lisa.
Now I did it. I guess we're all confusing tonight. Sorry. So actually, no, probably not. It would be difficult for you to be able to meet your students' instructors, and typically in college, that is not actually what happens. Families very rarely would meet an instructor, at least right now. As your student progresses, and maybe your student is in their major, it's certainly possible that you'd meet a few instructors along the way. But at this point, especially this year, the way things are going, it's not very likely. However, your student can, share all the information with you. And something else, as long as we're talking about this, I'll just throw out that we have here college being very different from high school. We don't have the option of you being able to see your students' like daily grades or test scores and things like that. But we do have the parent guest portal. So your student can sign you up for the portal, and that way you will have access to some of their information. So your student will go on and give you access to the information there. They can also take that access away. However, you're the parent, so I have no doubt that you'll be able to get them to give you that access, and you'll be able to get whatever you need out of your students. So with that, you will be able to see midterm grades and final grades, and you'll be able to see some housing information, some financial aid information, all that your student gives you in that regard. So if you have questions beyond that, you're certainly able to maybe reach out to an instructor, but I would also say that it may be that an instructor would respond to you via your student, and not directly, but to respond back or answer or take questions directly from your student.
Great, thank you, Lisa. One question here from Pilar. My daughter will be attending her brother's wedding in September. Will she have to be quarantined/tested again upon return?
Yeah, that's a good question. So one of the things that, let me first of all, we're not going to prevent someone from obviously attending someone's wedding, but one of our concerns as students come and go from town, and similarly why we've moved Fall Family Weekend online, is we're trying to reduce the opportunity for spread of the virus. And so by having students, recommending students not travel that much or leave town, and families not to come to town for Fall Family Weekend, we're hoping to cut down that spread. So Currently, our guidelines that we have from our public health officials and infectious disease, if students leave town, or any of us, faculty or staff, right now we're under the guidance that we need to self-quarantine or self-isolate for 5 days upon returning to Morgantown. So what that will be like in the fall, we don't know. But if your student is leaving for the wedding, likely the recommendation will be that your student stay in his or her room for that 5-day window and limit interactions during that window.
Great, thank you, Corey. We have a parent here asking about, in regards to an IEP, who do we contact about special ed needs? Lisa, you are muted again.
Again, I am so I think I've never done this before. So for thing like an IEP or any other concerns, your students can be registered here at WVU through the Office of Accessibility Services. And that way they can get any accommodations that may be coming their way or anything else. And if your student has had any sort of accommodation in high school, do reach out to Accessibility Services. They'll get your student registered, but they will also do some testing should that be needed. Katie just put the link in the chat for everyone, so you'll have that. And they will be able to sort of follow your student and make sure that they get the very best help and for anything that they need. And if your student, again, thinks that they have an issue or wants to be tested for something, you can work through that office to get that taken care of as well.
Great, we have a couple questions about transportation on campus. Will the PRT be open due to COVID is the first question. And then Lynette follows up that question by asking, are electric scooters allowed on campus?
So good question. So we don't have the answer yet to the PRT. The transportation model is still being developed by our transportation folks. So no answer on that just yet, but we certainly know there will be buses moving students back on campus. As for electric scooters, quite frankly, our campus terrain does not suit scooters well because of the motors and batteries, and quite frankly are uphill. And so those scooter companies have tried to come to Morgantown, and we've tested them out, and they've come to test them out, but they just the battery power and the motors just don't do well here in Morgantown. So I don't think there's a prohibition from bringing them, but students on this campus are not using electric scooters.
Perfect, thank you, Corey. Let's see here. Natalie, can you talk a little bit about what tutoring help is available on campus for students?
I can. So there are roughly 12 tutoring centers across campus. I run the writing studio, as I mentioned, and that's a space where a lot of students enrolled in English 101 and English 102 come, but it's also a space where students who are working on a variety of writing projects come as well. So for example, writing happens in biology and chemistry, they're writing lab reports. So sometimes we see students from those courses as well. There is also kind of course content tutoring across campus. There are several places where math and chemistry tutoring are offered specifically. And then there are also kind of generalized tutoring centers that offer tutoring in a variety of subjects. And then there are some specialized tutoring centers like MindFit. And MindFit is a place where neurodiverse students can get tutoring and academic coaching assistance, and that's a for-fee service. So there are lots of places where students can get help. And we publicize, all of the tutoring centers are kind of a consortium or a collaborative, and we publicize to different courses and directly to students. So they'll be hearing about tutoring in the first few weeks of class.
Awesome, thank you for that. Corey, we've had a couple questions about students being able to have their parents visit or them going home for the weekends. I know that you've talked a little bit about this, but can you give an idea to parents if they're able to come and visit their students, and will they be able to visit their rooms, or what will the protocol be for them?
Yeah, so again, one of the things we're concerned about is that once we get the students here and tested is that spread of a virus, and if students are leaving town or others are coming to town. So we are not and cannot permit students from leaving leaving Morgantown, and similarly, if you're coming to visit your student, we can't prohibit you, but we would hope that both your students limit their visits home, as well as you limit your visits to Morgantown, as we try to again, tamp down the spread of the virus. Now, likely what will happen though on guests, we're still working through that, but students will be able to have WVU guests visit them in their rooms. However, non-WVU students, those outside the community, will likely only be able to visit students in the main lobby areas or elsewhere, but not in the other residential areas. We try to, again, protect our students in their new family units with who they're used to seeing on a day-to-day basis up on their floors. But more
Great,
information to come on that.
Perfect. Katie, I think we talked about this the other evening, so I'm going to lean towards this for you. This is a tutoring related question, but it's more about engineering's mandatory in-person tutoring requirements. Is the in-person tutoring still happening with COVID related matters for engineering?
Yes, so I think the guidance right now is that a majority of the tutoring on campus will be virtual for the semester. Engineering is working right now on transitioning their Student Success Center to be virtual as well. They had a great practice going on in the spring semester in those last couple of weeks, and so they're looking to improve that even more for the fall semester, but expect it to be virtual.
Perfect. Corey, can you talk a little bit more about how dining facilities will be operated, like those that would have buffets? How will the food be plated? How will they, what will be expected as far as cleanliness in those? And folks, just to follow up, I apologize, we're not getting to every single question. I am trying to go through and kind of pair questions away. But we will have an FAQ that will be available on those Facebook pages that Ricky has referenced and put links in there, where we will do a real thorough FAQ. We've just had a lot of people this evening, and so we're trying to make sure that we get as many diverse questions answered, so we're not going back and answering multiple questions multiple times. So I apologize for that. But Corey, on to you about how dining is going to work.
Yes, so dining is going to have a number of options available, from soup, salads, and sandwiches to hot cooked food, from pizzas and pastas and Asian foods and meatloaf and things like that. And students will be able to go into the dining hall. We will be, what we're saying, de-densifying or putting in barriers, so students will not be sitting as closely together, and we're creating some overflow seating space for our students. Now, the serving of the food will be different, not just on our own campus, but college campuses across the country. It's not going to be self-serve buffet style, where students use tongs to pick up hamburgers or serve the stir fries and serve themselves pizza and things like that. It will be, those servers will be behind glass or plexiglass, and the food will be served directly to the students in to-go containers, so they can enjoy them there, or they can enjoy their meal someplace else, wherever they'd like to go. Now, dining services folks are going to be going through a number of cleaning periods throughout the day during the dining hall, and in addition, they're going to be masked and wearing gloves, and their serving utensils that the dining folks will be using will be changed out very regularly. We won't be using traditional plates and silverware and things like that, because others can touch them. So that's why we're using disposable utensils and disposable containers. So they will be served, I'll say, with through the dining services folks behind the plexiglass, and others won't be able to touch them, other than those who are regularly cleaning and wearing gloves.
Perfect. And then to follow that up, Corey, we've got two other dining questions, and then I'm going to go on to a laundry question. So our other dining question is, can we change our meal plan prior to spring semester if she's not using it all in the fall?
Yeah, outstanding question. And that's an important conversation you may want to have with your students. Students can change their meal plans, and I don't know the exact date, but it's usually the first couple of weeks of fall semester, first 2 weeks, Lisa, I see that, thank you, of fall semester and first 2 weeks of spring semester. So they absolutely should evaluate how they're eating when they arrive on campus and adjust their meal plan up or down, depending on what they choose. And the same thing when their class schedule changes for spring semester. Pay attention to how they're eating, because some students are eating constantly throughout the day. They're sort of grazers, and others, they just eat one meal a day, and that's dinner or that's lunch, and they don't have anything else, or they may be just content with a quick sandwich using their dining dollars. And so that's a personal decision students will make, but absolutely they can make those adjustments at the start of fall and spring semester.
Great. And then Ricky, prior to this question, can you pull up and put in the chat the dining website or the information on dining plans? So we have a question here from Kevin. He's talking about on the sites, some of the eating locations say that they accept WVU meal plan, dining dollars, and Mountie Bounty, i.e. Evansdale Crossing. So what does accept the meal plan as swipe?
Okay, so for students living in the residence halls, the swipes the swipes can be used at Hatfields, Cafe Evansdale, Summit Cafe, and Borman. Now students that are living off campus have some additional options, but the residence hall students have those as 4 options. Now, because of COVID, we're looking at other options to expand out to make sure that we might have some pop-up carts or other things like that. So if students want a quick sandwich or soup or salad or something like that, we might set those up, for example, outside the dining halls to make it easy so students don't have to go into the dining hall, but they can get that quick sandwich and go and sit up on the Mountaineer Plaza or outside or take that meal to their room to enjoy.
Perfect, thank you. Corey, we've not had this question before, so Lynette, thank you for asking it. Now it worries me that none of the kids are gonna wash their clothes from any of the previous sets of parents that we've talked to. But Lynette is asking, are the laundry facilities free or how do they work? Are they Mountie Bounty? Are they coin operated? How does that work?
Yeah, no, so our laundry machines are located in each residence hall and they are not free. Lisa, are they $1.50? Is that what they are? $1.50 for a wash and a dry. Students will use Mountie Bounty only. They are, I believe they are not, I know they don't accept cash. I don't think they use credit cards. Now, they've done some upgrading on machines. What's that, Lisa?
Just Mountie Bounty.
Just Mountie Bounty. Okay, so Mountie Bounty. And one of the things that I'll tell you is a great feature for students is if they log into their the Mountaineer Card website, it's mymountaineercard.wvu.edu. They can do some settings where they can choose their favorite washer and dryer, i.e. the one that's in their residence hall or closest to where they live. And through the magic of technology, students can program in when that washing machine may be free. If they walk up and the machine's in use, they can program it. They will receive a text or an email or both that the machine is available. And then likewise, when their wash or dry is about done, they can be texted that their clothes are about done, so they can head over to the washing machine and pick up their clothes and transfer them to the dryer or things like that. But it is Mountie Bounty, and they're located in every residence hall.
And I have used that software not here on campus, but at Disney World, and it was not $1.50 to wash and dry. It was more like $9 to $12. We have some questions about students in COVID times. If they are tested positive, how will the quarantine process work and what happens to their roommates? And then following up with that, how will we help them catch up with their classes and how will their educations be handled?
Yes, many of our, one of the things that we know from our infectious disease folks is the younger you are, the less likely you are to show symptoms. And if you show symptoms, they are very mild. So many of our students, though we will provide some quarantine housing for them in a different residence hall, and we'll provide transportation and meals to that separate residence hall, many of them will be able to continue their classes because they're going to feel just fine. And so with that, they may not get behind on their schoolwork, because one of the things that we're engaging with professors is to make sure students can continue with that coursework while they're out of class until the local health department releases them to allow them to go back to their class. Now, for roommates or others that are in close contact with them, there's something that the students will hear about. You may have heard about something called contact tracing. And so when a student tests positive, the contact tracers through the health department will be talking with students to say, where have you been? How close have you been with these folks? Have you worn masks? And to understand what their interaction has been in the past, I think it's generally 48 hours prior to the test. And then what they will do is reach out to those students who've been close contact and say, and provide them guidance. And that may mean come in to be tested. That also may mean, no, just be quarantined, self-quarantine in your existing room for 5 days, and if you develop symptoms. So the health department will provide guidance on roommates and others that they are in really close contact with. And that certainly can mean you if you come to town for a visit, or if they've gone home for a visit, now you may become close contact and may need to follow guidance that is provided by the health department.
Great, thank you, Corey. Terry is asking, will temperatures be taken daily of the students, or is this on their own?
Outstanding question. So no, temperatures are not, will not be taken on students on a daily basis. One of the things that we hope to develop is but what's more, from our infectious disease and epidemiologists are telling us, temperature is not a strong indicator. What's a stronger indicator is how you're feeling, symptoms, and things like that. And so we're looking at a number of things that we might use to help students self-identify if they're not feeling well. But we're not going to be using thermometers to test students going into the classroom or the Mountaineer or the student union or other things like that.
Great, thank you, Corey. Katie or Lisa, this may fall to either one of you. The online deadlines associated with the monthly payments are listed as June 30th, but we just heard from you all that tuition and bills will be out in July. Is there an updated monthly payments deadline, or how does this work for parents?
So the payment plan has been open for several months now. Parents could have signed up at any point starting, I believe, in April, but you can still sign up, June 30th or wait till July. And the parents who have already signed up have used that calculator that I mentioned, that net tuition calculator, and figured out the estimate of tuition and put that in to make their monthly payments. So if you would like to do that, you can certainly do that now and start in June. If you'd like to wait for the bill to come out in July, then you can start up. It's just a matter of how many months you want to pay that tuition across. It goes from a 6-month to a 3-month plan, depending on when you sign up. So if you all are interested now, you can go ahead and sign up this evening or wait till the bills come out.
Perfect. Thank you, Lisa. Dave, Ricky just posted a link to that information for that payment plan in the chat, so you can click there. Kevin is asking, will WVU be posting COVID cases within the student, staff, and faculty population so parents can get a sense of the status of how many cases we've had?
Here's why I'm stumbling. I'm not sure if WVU will post those or the Mon County Health Department, because they're the official agency for the county. And so I'm not sure how the county health department is going to report that out. As a baseline now, you certainly could go to I believe the state website, which will then link you to the Mon County Health Department just to see what our caseload is right now. I think we're at a small, compared to some areas, I think we're at 130 some positive cases since we've begun testing, but that's certainly to go up. And we're like many states across the country, we're seeing an acceleration right now as people are interacting more and restrictions are being lifted. But one of the things I'll tell you that our infectious disease and our public health and our epidemiologists continue to tell us is to wear a mask and to social distance. That is critical. If you want to have a good conversation with your students, that's one of those ones that will be critical if we're going to stay operating on campus, that students need to follow, is to mask up. And the best example of that is to look at our public health care workers in hospitals, how they are not infected as a high rate as what the general community is. So those masks, in the general hospital, certainly those in the COVID wards are in N95 and cappers and some other much higher protection, but in general, most folks are wandering around the hospital with masks. And so that's going to be critical for our students, because remember, the students are by wearing a mask, are protecting others. And so remember, the faculty members and other staff members who might be more vulnerable because they're older are the ones that we want to make sure continue to teach, as well as we've got students who are going to be at risk also.
Corey, thank you. And thank you all for your questions. Again, I'm going to plug the Return to Campus website. Ricky has obviously put that web address in the chat, and the Return to Campus email. So if there was a COVID-related question that we did not get to this evening, please feel free to answer or to send that question to returntocampus@mail.wvu.edu, and someone will personally get back to you with that answer. We appreciate you all having those questions, and we know in these uncertain times, we appreciate you staying in touch and asking the hard questions to us so we can make sure that we get you those answers.
Mountaineers go first, and so should you. See how we are leaving our impression on the world by hitting the subscribe button and following us on social media. So let's go.